Welcome to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast, connecting real people with expert advice to achieve a healthier lifestyle and live a more fulfilling and abundant life. Here is your host, Coach Tavia.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show, the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Tavia, and your only solo host today. Only solo speaker. Sorry, guys. No guest speakers today. Sorry, guys. But you get me. Only me today. But today, I hope you're excited because this is going to be the fourth part series, basically, of the Lyme Awareness Month and for the month of May. And I'm going to be talking about something really, really important today, and that is a virus that you don't want to get, and a virus that is sometimes missed, or I could say goes hand in hand with Lyme disease, and that is called the lovely Epstein-Barr virus. Welcome, Epstein-Barr virus, if you were there. No, he is not my guest. Anyways, Epstein-Barr virus. We are going to talk about EBV today. Have you heard of it? EBV. So Epstein-Barr virus. How many of you have ever heard of Epstein-Barr or know what it is? It's otherwise known as the kissing disease. It's a virus, like I said, an infectious virus that is actually really quite common. And if you heard that noise, it was me knocking over my water. Yes, we are live, folks. So things happen. You might hear the dog bark, whatever. So anyways, let's go back to talking about the EBV. A lot of you who are listening may say, I have that, or I had mono when I was a kid, but I never heard the term Epstein-Barr virus. And Epstein-Barr virus is the virus that causes mono. So let's talk about this for the basics of it. Okay. It's in the family of viruses, it's in the family of the herpes viruses. And it is also transferred. It's very common, very, very, very common. I'll say that right now. It's a lot of kids get it in college, a lot of, or in high school or elementary school. I got mine in college. So everybody can, or you get it anytime. You can get it as an adult. There's so many different time periods when you can get it. There's no, bad time or good time. It's just, we don't want it. No one wants it. So anyways, what is Epstein-Barr virus? So it's a virus in the herpes family, like I said, and it's transferable through usually saliva. That's why they call it the kissing disease. But again, it can affect up to 3 million people per year in the United States. Like I said, it's very common. A lot of people have it and they don't even know that they have it in their system until they get sick, like with Lyme disease. And we'll talk about the correlation and the interesting thing between Lyme and EBV. And but before I do so, let's talk about the symptoms of EBV. So symptoms range from like fever, sore throat, swollen lymph nodes in the neck, and a large spleen. You can get swollen tonsils, your liver can swell up, just not be very hungry, overall feeling like fatigued and weak, and feel caca, just feel like you have the flu, headache. Even rashes can be, a cause of it, or excuse me, a symptom of it. So like I said, causes of it, going back to that, it spreads easily through bodily fluids, such as saliva. It can be spread through kissing, sharing foods, drinks, sharing your cups, utensils, toothbrushes. It can even be on a contaminated surface, even on objects with like a child or someone who drooled or something like that, can even transfer it to you. So it's very, very easily spread. And it can be spread through blood transfusion, organ transplantation, even through sexual contact. So it's there. It's a thing. Moms can pass it on to their babies. All of those things. So is there prevention of EBV? Well, it's not like anybody's really seeking out and saying, I don't want to get EBV and I'm going to not get EBV today. So I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's just kind of like any virus, just like, the Rona going around, it's like avoid contact with people that are sick, wash your hands, try not to share and swap, your water bottles with your friends. And if you have kids, don't let them share things like that. Obviously, you don't want to kiss someone that's been infected or, that's been infected. And those are all kind of the preventative things, right? So, diagnosis wise, how do you get diagnosed? Well, definitely if you go in feeling like crap, they're going to do a blood test. And the first thing they're going to say is usually when you have these symptoms, they're going to say that you have what's called mononucleosis. And they do what's called a mono spot test. I actually contracted mono back when I was in college. And my friend and I was on the dance team. Just a little side note, I was on Eastern Washington University's dance team, Go Eagles. And my girlfriend, who we were on the team together, and we hung out all the time. And, we'd swap bottles of water and share. And, we were always around each other. I mean, we're in classes, everything. So my friend and I got it from her, I guess. I got sick one day and she's like, "Oh yeah, I just had that last week." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "That's why you were out? You didn't share this with me." So, anyways, so I got it in college and I was really, really sick. Actually, I went to the doctor. They said I had throat infection. I had this massive sore throat. And then I wasn't getting better on antibiotics. And I came back a couple days later, back to the clinic on the campus at the school. And they did a mono spot test. And she's like, "You got mono." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I knew it was, I wasn't, I'd heard about it and stuff. And I felt like crap. So I went home, got better. I mean, it took me a while. The fatigue is real. It's a really bad symptom of fatigue, of mono is fatigue and whatnot. So how do you diagnose this? Blood test, mono spot test, get a blood test, check for other infections too, and rule out anything else. But basically you detect the antibodies of the EBV. So that's how you check for Epstein-Barr virus and mono. Okay, now let's shift gears really quick because this is going to be a shorter episode because I just want to get this information out because we talked about in the last podcast with Dr. Wakely about testing for Lyme, testing for a little bit about corona and how antibodies, right? Everybody knows what an antibody is in the last year, unless you've been under a rock, you don't know what an antibody is. That's typically what these tests test for is the antibodies, just like with EBV, they're testing for the antibodies. So with the last podcast we were talking about with Dr. Wakely, he was talking about, how if you don't have a robust immune system, your antibodies may not even show up. And that's why a lot of these tests for Lyme disease are inaccurate and they're not coming back accurate. Because if you're not, feeling well and you're not doing well, they're not going to show up. And Lyme hides anyways. That's what it is. And the same is true with the coronavirus. Again, do your own research. I'm not telling you this. There's data out there to support this, but there is been, I'll say allegedly, that some of the tests have been false because of the antibodies aren't there. People come in with the symptoms, right? And you're like, "I swear I had that." And I know a lot of people there said, "I swear I had that," but their tests come back negative and it just doesn't make sense. Well, if your immune system was super suppressed at the time, maybe you hadn't built the antibodies yet. And that's what they were checking for. So again, just a little lesson learned. Do your own research. Of course, I'm not making any medical claims right here. I'm just letting you know that's kind of what it is. So let's talk Lyme and EBV for a minute. Okay. That's what I wanted to get across to you. Epstein-Barr virus and Lyme and how those two are so connected. So I didn't know this at the time, but I got Epstein-Barr virus, aka mono, when I was 21 years old when I was in college. And so I got mono, right? And then little did I know, I had like what was called I would say like a flare or a relapse, probably like mid-20s, a few years later. Same symptoms, chronic fatigue, my abdomen hurt, my spleen hurt, and all of those things, right? So I just went back to the doctor and they retested me and they said, "Yeah, you have mono again." I'm like, "What?" So guys, you don't get mono again. You have Epstein-Barr virus that will flare up again. And once you have a virus, it always stays in your system, guys. I'm sorry to say viruses do not ever go away. They go dormant and they are always there. They just go dormant. And when you have a trauma or something that comes out, like another illness or something that will trigger this virus to come out, like a suppressed immune system, then that's going to happen. So anyways, so I had these, I thought were flare-ups. And I don't know if anybody out there is listening ever thought maybe they had a couple more times when they had mono or Epstein-Barr virus. Well, I'm here to tell you that looking back now, I had Lyme. And here's the tricky part. So Remember when I said Lyme hides? Yeah, it likes to hide. So it was hiding under this Epstein-Barr virus thing. My Epstein-Barr virus levels were off the chart. And I'm going to tell you two terminology here right now. When you go get if you go to the doctor right now, you say, I want to check my Epstein-Barr virus load. If you've ever had mono and you're not feeling good, you need to go get this checked. And there's two things you want to look for, the IgG and IgM. IgG number means past infection, and it'll give you a number. And IgM means current infection, and it'll give you a number. So if you have an IgG, a really high number, an IgM, really high number, chances are you're in a flare right now, and your Epstein-Barr virus is very prevalent, and you're fighting some of this viruses off. So, okay, so let's bring it back again. All right, let's bring it back again to the Lyme. So for me, I kept feeling like I had these flares, right? And actually, now as I look back, I'm like, it wasn't EBV. It was more Lyme disease as things started popping up. So, yes, the Epstein-Barr virus was there. Yes, 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 it was still a thing. But as I dig down deep into it, I believe that the Lyme disease actually caused a lot of my Epstein-Barr virus. They just go, I think they like to feed off of each other. I really do. So here we are, Epstein-Barr virus, right? So it's a family in the herpes virus, like I said, and herpes virus, like chickenpox, is a herpes virus, guys. So I don't want you to think that there's different types of herpes virus in herpes family. So, like I said, so a lot of times when I see someone that has high EBV numbers that comes to me, I suspect, or I want to kind of go down the hole of thinking, do they have potential Lyme disease, or have they been exposed to Lyme? Have they ever been bit by a tick, a spider, a flea, a mosquito? Have you ever had a big bad spider bite? Have you ever traveled outside the country? Have you ever traveled back east? Actually, Lyme is everywhere. Have you ever been a camper? Have you ever been around ticks or deers or anything like that? Have you ever hiked in the woods? Then you've been exposed to Lyme, or potentially a critter that is exposing you to Lyme. So that being said, so definitely you can get Lyme from different types of critters, and I want to point that out as well. So here I was again going back to I thought I had this, this EBV and these flares and blah blah blah, but the Lyme comes up a little bit differently, and again it hides under things that are more prevalent. So if the EBV at the time was more higher, then the Lyme was going to show up. So I actually didn't get diagnosed with Lyme disease till about 10 years later. After I had started to get some of these EBV flare-ups again. So, and Lyme, again, the symptoms are very similar to EBV in that it's fatigue. You can get a rash, you can get headaches, you can get joint pain, you can just overall feel like crud. So there's a lot of things that are being missed here. And I want to point that out. If, again, you are sick and you're going to the doctor and you're like, gosh, I'm just so fatigued. I keep getting sick, keep feeling sick. I keep having all these issues and it's just not getting better. And they say, well, it's EBV. Okay. EBV, first and foremost, we got to control the virus. We got to get that inflammation down. We got to do some things to control that viral load. And there's things that you can do, and I can help you with that. So, but with Lyme, it's a bacteria. It's a little bit different. It's not a virus, guys. It's a bacteria, and it's a little parasite too. And it's nasty. So the thing is that we need to make sure we are looking at both and all avenues of things when we have an EBV diagnosis or a past EBV diagnosis, a past mono, a past exposure to Epstein-Barr virus. Again, very, very common. A lot of people carry it. They don't even know they have it. I've had patients come into my office and I test them and they're like, you have EBV. And they're like, what? What's that? And they don't even know, or they have it and they don't even have, they'll have some numbers come up and they don't even have really symptoms. So again, it's really common, but how you react, how your immune system reacts is how you're going to feel. So we have to look at all avenues of your lifestyle, what you're eating, what you're drinking, the water you're drinking, the food that you're eating, the stress that you're under. Stress will bring this on really, really bad. It will reflare Epstein-Barr virus. And it can also bring out Lyme disease. If you may get bit by a tick, you may get bit by a spider or mosquito, and you may never know you have contracted some of this bacteria from these bugs until potentially you have an immune system that goes south, that is not so robust, as like I say. So they all need to be aware of. You all need to be aware of, and it's just an awareness, and that's what I want to bring to the forefront. Again, 95% of people with Epstein-Barr virus, they don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know that they have it. Excuse me. But that is the Epstein-Barr virus is responsible for mono. So a lot of people, again, they don't know that. So I am putting it on the forefront for you, letting you know what the difference is. Also, there is no vaccine currently for Epstein-Barr virus, and there is no vaccine for Lyme disease, in case any of you were wondering that. And then lastly, I just want to talk about a little bit about co-infections with Lyme disease. Co-infection is like a secondary infection, right? Epstein-Barr virus is a co-infection, believe it or not, a secondary infection. And co-infections are sometimes, again, overlap, and they will hide a proper Lyme disease diagnosis. A lot of times people will, let me back up, whatever your body is screaming out right now is going to show up on a test. So just to give you a name off a couple co-infection or secondary infections that can be also transmitted through deer ticks and infects people is Babesia. Babesia is one of them. Excuse me. Bartonella is another one, also known as cat scratch fever. If you ever seen someone that actually it looks like scratches on them. They kind of look like stretch marks, but they're not. That's actually a cat scratch fever. It's really crazy. Mycoplasma is another prevalent one, and it is also it's like in the lungs. It causes symptoms include chronic fatigue and cough and some neurological symptoms as well. Another one is Rickettsia. Rickettsia is the bacteria behind spotted fevers, like Rocky Mountain spotted fever. If you've ever heard that from someone. Erlichia. Erlichia can cause flu-like symptoms as well. Can give you a low white blood cell count. It infects the white blood cells and the monocytes in your blood. It's also associated with like high fever, fatigue, muscle aches, headache. Chlamydia is actually also a co-infection, and it can affect the myelin. It can affect the nerves. It's prevalent in a lot of multiple sclerosis patients as well. And so that's another one. And then of course, Epstein-Barr virus, like I mentioned, is the last one. So anyways, I will hop off now. I just want to give you just a little bit of educational piece about Epstein-Barr virus, what it is, what you can do if you have it. I hope you don't have it. I hope no one listening ever has it. Excuse me. And I hope that you stay well and hydrated and eat good food, take care of your body, get lots of rest, reduce that stress. And of course, if you need a health coach, I am always here for you. I'm your coach, Tavia, and that is all for today. Have a blessed day. Take care. I love you. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Sweet Life Coaching Podcast. To learn more about the topics mentioned on today's show, please visit sweetcoachtavia.com.